We often hear biodiversity is crucial, and it truly is. The coexistence of different species has countless benefits. Ever wonder how different animals manage to live together even when they are competing for the same territory? Let's dive into the world of simulations to explore this. During my time at the University Aix-Marseille, I came across a paper modeling biodiversity using a rock, paper, scissors game. Sounds simple, so let's implement it. Our simulation Earth is a spatial grid that we shape into a torus. Basically, we connect the edges to mimic a round world. We start with a random initialization of 3 types of organisms and some empty spaces. We play God and we can tweak 3 parameters: selection, reproduction, and movement. Let's break these down. First, selection. We calculate which cells on our Earth will fight at each time point. Each selected cell randomly chooses a neighbor to battle: north, east, west, or south. And they engage in rock, paper, scissors combat. The losing cell becomes empty, ready for reproduction, and the winning cell remains. A cell chosen for reproduction checks if its neighbor is empty. If it is, it reproduces asexually. This parameter simulates the birth rate. Finally, movement. This parameter allows organisms to move, simulating migration or wandering. We can promote movement by adding bridges or reduce it by creating barriers. In real life, which I don't have. Let's see what happens when we set reproduction to 0. With no new babies, everyone eventually dies off. In real life, reproduction can be inhibited through sterilization programs or by introducing controlled stressors that discourage breeding. But when we increase reproduction, life bounces back. In real life, we can promote reproduction by enhancing habitat qualities such as providing abundant resources and reducing stressors like minimizing predation. It's like the speed at which a species can populate its environment. Now, what happens when we change selection? With no selection, organisms wander aimlessly, like my spoiled ass. In the real life, selection gets decreased by killing all predators, unlimited food supply, or vaccination programs. Basically, what the humankind aims for. Increasing selection leads to more fights, allowing species to form groups and establish territories. In real life, selection gets promoted by limiting food supply, introducing predators, or exposing populations to climate extremes like a drought or a cold. In harsh times, we all seek groups to hide in. And the movement? This one is a bit more tricky. So I added a new plot, and we are gonna make our world a little bit smaller. Restricting the movement creates distinct borders between groups. This makes the whole process of colonizing territories much slower but still stable. We can see our little world form the patterns much more clearly. Promoting it too much can mix species and make evolution between populations faster, but excessive movement might cause some species to die out. We see this in our dynamics by having these huge spikes. A popular example is moving frogs too much in other territories and then they overrule local species. For the last bit, I'll show you some other edge cases, but I'm not gonna explain them to you. Let me know in the comments what happened here. So our simulation demonstrates how different parameters affect species coexistence. It highlights the delicate balance required to maintain biodiversity. Through this rock, paper, scissors model, we got a glimpse into the fascinating dynamics of nature. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on what simulation we should try next. Let's keep unraveling the mysteries of nature together.